Well, here we are, back in Mittenrahm, perched on the tail of a len. Forgot to check where my progress was. I think I was probably working on this, given my usual rate of progress. And may have been starting on this, perhaps. Not a lot been done. In the sense of not a varied amount done all over the place, so it's really just pretty much repetition. I took these ones, took another stab at the teeth and the coloration of the teeth. I replaced the... Actually, I think I changed the order as well. I think those ones over there, the black stone to the gilded black stone, swapping to the deep slate coal. Obviously you can see from the gilded black stone to actually deep slate gold. And you can see the gold has been swapped for the coal, and then this has been reordered. And I think it's a nice gradient. I think it looks better. It's a darker. It's just darker overall. I think the early ones I did were just a tiny bit too colourful. This is overly bright because it's mostly tough, but it's also got a bunch of lichen behind it. Oops. And you can see I've taken a shot at basically, I'll do this anyway, but I'll be swapping over the colours to match what I've come up with now. You can see that I was getting close to the idea anyway. This one was, I think I've noted this before, but that one up there is now a fusion of the original plus this kind of stained look, like it's a chain smoker or something. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way the teeth are now. You can see this one I was mentioning, and I think it was the inclusion of the deep slate coal. I'm backing up and just thinking, actually, I think I can pull off a better gradient on the teeth. And the ones back here have actually been standardized. There's fewer of them than in the first mouth, and they're basically just a version of what's in the next mouth over. These ones I'll come back to, obviously, and probably remove the gold, which does call into question this one. Whether I'll actually go ahead and do the conversion. The purple kind of bursting out the side, it's not big enough to warrant. Like, if it was maybe more central or part of the main body, it would be okay, but you've got half, or at least 2/5 of the body is given over to this, and it just seems odd to have a completely separate piece on the back. So I'll either need to remove it, just paste it, cover it over with a black stone again, or go to the alternative idea, which is what led me to change the teeth in the first place. I'm not sure when I started doing these little growths, I suppose. Kind of glassy mushrooms. The nature of Mawn has evolved since I began working on it, and the status of in the moment is it wasn't killed by eating the Lord of the Elements, or what would have become the Lord of the Elements. Although that Lord of the Elements was killed, it would be better to describe Mawn as having been alived and then killed. He was alived, destroying. It was alived, rather, destroying the central tentacle mouth, but at the same time it was essentially committed to a slow death. I think they may have been looking for Mawn in the wrong place all this time. I think the original intention was that the Mittenrahm was built to come here. I think his intention was to come to the end. But I've also had this idea that they may have wandered around a little while looking for signs of Mawn, perhaps not realizing, because I didn't think of it until recently, that Mawn had become trapped in the end. His ability to phase out into the void had perhaps been lost, or at least eventually lost. He may have come around to the point where he couldn't leave anymore. So they kind of went on a wild goose chase in a sense before having some realization, some discovery that made them realize that Mawn was still in the end. But it's still in progress. I think there's still potential for the story to be altered a little more, still come up with better explanations and motivations for the various aspects of the story, but I'm still got a long way to go on working on it anyway. This mouth is nearly finished. This one is now essentially ready to go. Tentacles are as prepared as they're going to be. That was done way back. I think everything is correctly marked out. I still need to put in the cylinder markings so I know where to build, and then this needs to be filled in. It's essentially functioning as a canvas. I did it with the current one I'm on. I put in place almost the entire dome with tinted glass, so that when I was putting in the lines, I knew exactly where each block was supposed to go, rather than trying to constantly recalculate and figure out where everything was supposed to be. Now, the only thing I have actually done different here, a major tweak at least, is tinted glass to purple to magenta instead of purple, magenta and pink, which in the end, because of the coloration, is kind of a very light orange. I have shown this before. This is pink, et voila. So it does look very different when the orange next to the orange, but I did try some experiments. I'll show you in a second. There is actually a it's peachy rather than pink, I suppose. Yeah, you can see I've experimented. The light green, the dark green is almost indistinguishable from a distance. It's kind of funny that you can't really see it anymore. The light green stands out a little better, but it's kind of unusual. I don't use the green anywhere, and it's being used to represent life, so maybe it might make sense to include it in the design, but I don't want to go overboard, especially this late in the day. And then I actually also tried just adding on an extra, I think it's light grey, and it kind of blends in with the teeth from a distance, which I don't have a problem with. It might work. I don't know. It's like the orange pink is too much, I think. Like, looking back here, seeing all of them, you've got all four here, all with the pink, the peach, and then this one has been done with a darker set, and I think it's perhaps a little more in line with what I wanted. I just wanted something a little darker, especially when I started to get this idea about how the tentacles would look, and then the little inner collar here being purple as well. It's like this is becoming a lot brighter than I imagined it. I mean, I really did picture it to be like black stone, entirely black stone. You wouldn't be able to tell anything unless you were looking really closely, which interesting idea, but perhaps just, I don't know, just wasn't meant to be. Anyway, that's about all I've got done. I haven't added anything to the back yet. I think as I've shown in previous videos, I had begun to mark out where the back part of the body was curving, and partly because I believed that it would be less of a headache to just kind of do it in bits and pieces while I worked on the front, and then it would just be a question of filling it in, and obviously that completely fell by the wayside. And then I just got to figure out how I'm going to handle this, because the body's curving. It's already curving by this point. So technically the beam can't hit the core that I'm aiming for, because the core is would be lower. But it can hit part of the core, which is a good start, because they don't kill him with this first shot. Unfortunately, they don't kill him until Aurelian sacrifices himself. But c'est la vie. Anyway, again, I shall say adieu, and I shall perch again on Alan's wings. This is him emerging slightly out of the void. It's kind of fused. Inherited the properties of his father-ish. It's kind of, technically. I don't know. I'm not sure how you would describe the relationship between these two creatures. But, yeah. So I shall say adieu. Be pleased with myself, I didn't manage to fall off doing that. And, carry on.